Kalimera team, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be fishing another live match, 4 on the bounce over these last few weeks. Probably the last opportunity I'll get to do that for a while, so I thought I'd get it in while I can, whilst I've got some time on my hands. You might notice through the window, and maybe even bouncing on the van, that it's bucketing it down outside. And that is the focus of this video, the weather. Now, pardon the pun, but I'm no Michael Fish. However, over the last 30 years of fishing, I've picked up a few tips from other people and from experience. So I want to talk a little bit today about the weather, how it impacts your match, the weather preceding the actual event. So today we're going over to Janssen's fishery again. It's another knock-up, another pre-season knock-up if you like, the last of the year. Our club season starts in a couple of weeks. I'll not be on that match, I'm on another one, but the business end starts if you like. You know, the weather will start warming up hopefully, and fish will be feeding, and then we're fishing for points, etc. So as we go through today, I'm going to talk about, it's the first time actually I've filmed when it's been raining, so there might be a few challenges. The camera's waterproof, but my microphone might play up like it always does, all the rest of it, so we'll have to see. Look, it's 7 degrees right now and there's been no frost. If you remember the last 2 videos that I made, when we were talking about the tackle, etc., there'd always been a hard frost on the ground. Not last night, so it's been mild through the night, 6-7 degrees, but we've got this horrible easterly wind. Now we'll talk about this a lot more in depth today. So I think let's get down to the lake. We're on a lake today called Monroe's. I expect this match to be a lot more productive than the one that I fished with the 200 quid's worth of gear. You know, remember there was a hard frost, very difficult conditions. I still thought it fished really well, but it struggled. It came on as the day progressed. I think today, I'll say it again, this place is crazy. I genuinely think fish will feed from the start, but I might end up eating my words, we'll see. But it's because it's raining, low pressure, we'll talk about that later as well. I think we'll catch fish. Let's head down there now.
Right, all then team, here we go. This is Monroe's Lake, and really interesting, I've just found out, I've not fished this for a couple of years, and now I know why. There's been no matches on it. There's been 2 matches in the last 18 months apparently. Now we've been allowed to fish today, we've been given the whole lake to get the smaller fish out, so that's the reason why it's allowed us on. Anything under £1 is all going in one net, anything over £1 limit up to 60 in the nets, and a fisher owner is going to take them and put them into another water. So God knows how this is going to fish. I thought it'd be exactly the same as last time. I mentioned I've got confidence, it's probably a psychological thing. I like using red baits on here, they always work well. So let's have a little look. I'm on peg 12, I'm at the end of what's like a bit of a, it's a canal shaped lake, and it like most places. So you can see miracle pellet crumb, red, dead red maggots, red and white maggots, some hard fishery 4mm pellets, and some paste which I've dyed a little bit red. That's miracle paste with a bit of red dye when I've mixed it up. Just because I think they might, you know, might be on it a little bit now, with it being that slight bit milder. It's still only sort of 9 degrees, but after last week where I was at Townsend and Big Tim won fishing paste, there's no reason why not here. I might just get those slightly better stamp fish. I know that they're bigger in here, they're bigger than when we fished Aubers, which is that lake over there. I've got a nice tree down there, about 30 metres across. So I think we'll just stick to type, tapping in dead maggots with a little bit of red crumb and see how it goes. I'll show you the rigs in a minute. But weather-wise, as I mentioned, there's an easterly wind today, and it doesn't seem to be affecting the lake, which is great. We've got a bit of cover behind us. Right, we're nearly set up. 15 minutes or so to go. 1 or 2 fish jumping, which is positive. Right, where are we going to fish then? So nice and simple, in that little hole down there. If it fishes to type, there is a nice colour in the water. they do come in on this lake. Saying that, they come in on Aubrey's and they didn't 2 weeks ago, but then again it was very cold, so just about here. For that rig we have, let's just have a little look, a 0.2 of a gram matrix margin. It's about 2 foot deep. I don't want heavy gear spread bulk. Just above 4 inch hook length. That is 0.13 and it's a frenzy hook. I can't remember the model, 1402, quite strong. So it's 0.16 line, 0.14 hook length. It's about 2 foot deep. You can see some carp just there actually. And we're just going to fish down there. Now that is going to be on these little bits of paste, miracle paste. Got to mention also with the red theme, got some red soft pellets there for hookers. All I'm going to do there is feed fishery 4 mils with a little piece of paste over the top. Down the track, 2 lines, one at sort of 1 o'clock, the other one at sort of 11 o'clock, about 7 metres. We've got an RW Dink 4x14, it's just over 4 foot of water. Tightly strung bulk just above the hook length. It's 0.16 line, 0.13 hook length. It's a Guru Extra Strong 18, which is more like a size 60 and they're quite big. Quite a strong hook, but they're still very light, and if it does fish well, you never know, it will take some punishment. There's less silvers in this lake if I remember rightly, so I'm not, finesse is sort of not as important today. Then across, learning from last time we was on here, I caught the vast majority of fish across. Mud holes, you can see straight face in there. It's about 14 metres across. That is a 4x12 RW Dink float. A spread bulk just above. A 6 inch hook length, what we got there, a 4 inch hook length should I say. It is 0.15 and a 14 LWG, so quite strong and robust. It's 0.17 main line, sorry. 11 to 13 hybrid in that. Oh, and also another thing, it's a short top kit. Even though last time we fished here and I fished long, I had that 100 quid pole, I had no choice then, but fishing across and with the umbrella above me as well, they're going to be easier to land with, put the nets in, they're going to be easier to land with a short top kit. What have we got? Oh, track line is 11 to 13 hybrid as well, margin is 13 to 15. Also put, just in case there is silvers, I can't remember, and they do feed shallow. Remember there's a lot of hide in the other lake. I don't think they're in here, but a little shallow rig set up, just sort of 12 inches deep. I can feed maggots over the top. So they're the rigs. We'll get the camera set up, get fishing, and we can talk a little bit about this rather damp weather. Right, I think we're just about ready. Enjoying a little pork pie. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to start across. Little cloud of crumb, some dead reds, double red on the hook. There we go, all in. Fish a bit more positive. So let's get that rig. All in. In fact, let's go 3 dead reds. It's quite deep over there. About 3 foot. So a couple of dead reds, a little bit of red pellet crumb, and we'll go along. Let's get a couple of hard pellets down there as well. Right. So let's talk a little bit about the weather. I think we all use it as an excuse, i.e. when things don't go well, it was cold, it was windy, couldn't present, whatever. But not enough of us think about the impact it has from the start. So whatever preconceived idea we might have had how we're going to approach a day, as soon as you get to the lake, it might be out the window. Depending on, there's a bite straight away, depending on what the weather's like. So, first 2 top tips from me. Get yourself a little weather station. I'll pop a picture on the screen of the one that I've got at home. It tells you about the air pressure, it'll tell you the outside temperature, your indoor temperature, and any predictions. I think they're about, mine was about 30 quid from Aldi. There's a fish straight away. So let's talk first of all about air temperature. It was the late Roy Marlowe that taught me about water temperatures and the respect that 8 degrees is your magic number. Fish have to feed. The fish have to feed when it's 8 degrees and above. With them being cold-blooded, they don't have to feed below that. If there's anything below that, fish negatively. Next up, air pressure. So in terms of air pressure, what is it? Well, it's how much force is being in the air pushing down to the earth. They don't like it and tend to come up in the water. So when you catch shallow, you know, if you had a whole ton of air pushing down on top of you, you wouldn't want to be sat on the bottom either. You want to get a bit of release. So that's what air pressure is all about. Now today is low pressure. It's less. What is high pressure? You're talking sort of 1,010 millibar upwards. Today I think it's about 990, 995. So it's low pressure, which means the fish should feed hard on the bottom. It's above 8 degrees the water temperature. I checked. It's 9. So in theory they need to feed. So all these are just little indications of how I'm going to approach the day. Second thing, and a top tip from my old mate Dave Darlington, he told me this ages ago, get yourself Net Weather, the app. It's got a bite guide on there and it's based on cyprinids, so ultimately coarse fish. I'll put a little link in the comments and also the website on the chat. Another bite. So Net Weather, you just put in your location and pulled out. You put in your location and it will give you a bite guide of good, poor, very good, whatever. It'll also give you an indication of how much precipitation per hour we're expected. So today, it's chucking it down now, but between 1 and 3 p.m. when we finish, it's supposed to be very heavy. It's supposed to be getting about 8 mil of rain. So I can prepare for that, which is why I've put the umbrella up. So they're my two main tips when it comes to sort of understanding how to approach the day. Weather station, look at the air pressure, look at the temperatures expected, and also Net Weather will give you a bite guide based on coarse fish. And in general, I've used it for about 3 years, it's pretty accurate. The other thing to consider about, not necessarily the weather, but the environment is, and a lot of the carp world are into this, the moon phases. And I tend to go along with this as well. I don't look into it as probably as much as I should, but when something as powerful like the moon can move tides and move seas and oceans, then of course it's going to affect coarse lakes and rivers. So I think that's an important one as well, is to understand moon phases. Ultimately, a full moon, well, it can be good or bad depending on the interpretation. So have a little Google online and look at, there's a few different websites about moon phases, but mainly the guys from the carp world are bang on to that sort of stuff, because they're fishing through the night as well, right? Although we're not fishing in the night, during matches, what happened the previous night and the upcoming night will have impact on the sport of the match. Right, back to the fishing. There's loads of fish over there already. They're coming to the feed and I'm foul looking them. So this could be a good day. But I'm foul looking them, so there's too many fish coming in. So what I want to do, instantly I'm thinking I need to bulk that shot down. No need for a strung bulk. I only had it strung out because there's a bit of a slope and I wanted to push it onto the slope. But actually now I'm thinking, no, let's just bomb it down. Let's keep it stable to avoid foul hooking. And it also makes me think that they will come down the margin later on. Now, he's given us some interesting rules today. He's allowing carp £1 and under, and any silvers, which will be my left hand net. We're allowed up to £100 because that's the net he's going to use to distribute the fish elsewhere. £60 limit in the other two. So let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to bulk. I'm going to take all that shot and bulk it together because I don't want to foul luck. I might also change hook lengths to a smaller hook in a bit. Sometimes these fish have damaged mouths, and I did it on Aubrey's the other week. It's better when you have a smaller hook. You can get it in the mouths easier. Let's just stick to double dead reds. I think 3 was a bit silly. So what are we expecting weather-wise? Like I said, it's low pressure, so I expect them to feed on the deck. It's not cold here because we don't seem to be exposed to that easterly wind. Let's talk about the wind actually briefly, because there's some old adages that still stand firm that I learnt when I was a kid and I still remember. So when the wind is in the east, the fish bite the least. When the wind is in the west, the fish bite best. That still stands today. So when you're looking at your weather station or you're watching the weather report on the telly or online, what are we looking for? What are we expecting when we're looking at winds? Well, first of all, I would say anything from the west is going to be wet because it's coming off the Atlantic. So westerly, southwesterly, it's going to be a wet wind. Anything east is going to be chilly and cold. So these are the sort of fish. That's above £1. I want to put that in the net. Anything is going to be a bit chilly. Anything from the south tends to be dry. It's coming off continental Europe and warm. So sometimes we fish a match and somebody will say, he's caught there on the end peg, he's had the wind blowing down into him. Well, hold on, if that's a northerly or an easterly wind, that is no advantage whatsoever. You only want to be on the end of the wind when it's coming from the west or from the south because it's warmer and it's going to stir the food up and the fish are going to feed. If you're on the end of a northerly wind, disaster. You want it off your back. You want to be out of it completely. You want to be flat water when it's a northerly or easterly wind. So those sort of, again, people using excuses, weather as excuses for just bad knowledge or bad understanding of what's going on. I guess I need to concentrate and get my head down here, because if I'm catching 1 or 2, everybody else will be for sure. Although I see that Jeff to my right, he's fishing close in already and getting 1 or 2. Ooh, interesting. If he's catching that close in already, then I might have to sack this far line off or start up my margin line straight away, because he's obviously going to catch a lot quicker than me. I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated fishing across now. You can see Jeff catching on the edge. What is my prediction for that? Is that sustainable? So I can think to myself, right, Jeff's bagging down the edge, I need to get down the edge ASAP. What is he catching? He's catching tiny little carp with the odd better one. These are the tiny carp that he wants taken out. So do a copy. Is it monkey see, monkey do? Well, I've just fed the edge in anticipation. Getting annoyed across because there's a lot of snags. And you don't notice them when you plumb up because you've got a tight line. But now there's a lot of crap out there. But I'm getting bigger fish. Yeah, he's getting these tiny, tiny fish across. Tangle. Another little tip, fishing underneath an umbrella, is to use a short landing net handle. On these types of places you can get away with a short handle anyway, especially if you're fishing close in. But because I've got the umbrella above my head and I need to put the fish in, it can be quite annoying with a longer handle. So I've just got a little 2 metre cheap and cheerful handle that does the business when you're fishing under a brolly. So that's another little tip. So let's get my head down. I'm watching all the time, watching Jason on that peg there, I'm watching Jeff over there. They're both fishing short already. I want to say that I feel that that's a mistake. I feel that it's way too early and they're not going to be comfortable there yet. But then again, they're catching quicker than me. Ooh, what to do? Right, we are half an hour in, and I reckon I've probably got double figures or so already. So this milder weather definitely, and the fact this lake hasn't been fished for a long time, I think the fish are hungry, just moved across to that different hole, if you like. Seems to be a bit less snaggy. Same depth as a few feet to the left hand side, so there's no problem starting a new line on here. It's no big deal at all, it's fish everywhere. The quandary that we've got is, is that on the drop? Ooh. The 2 guys that I can see are both fishing on literally a top kit, which is what you do here, certainly in summer. Are they catching faster than me? They're more comfortable than me, that's for sure, so I'm fishing long. And are they catching fish that are better stamped than me? I don't think they are. So I think I continue to do this and let the fish grow in confidence closer in. Because if I just go in and start plundering them now, if it's in summer, it's a different conversation. So we're an hour in, and my hand has been forced a little bit. They were catching a slightly better stamp closer in. So I've come down the edge now, just on a short kit again, with a number 3 section. They're not bagging either side, but they were catching better fish than I was across. So what is the difference? Is this turning into a bit of a fish race? We're all just going to fish a top kit for the next 4 hours? I don't think so. What am I doing different? Well, I'm fishing paste for a start. That should single out the better fish, hopefully. I mean, I've had a couple and they've been £2 or so. What else am I doing? Well, certainly from Jeff's perspective, he's feeding quite regular. Now, if he's not paste in a tiny little cap, these are the ones he wants out, so we don't have to land them. Just feeding quite regular. Looks like maggots or pellets. Now, if he's not getting bites, what's happening to that bait is just building up on the bottom. So when the fish do turn up, and they turn up in numbers, there's plenty for them to graze over, and that's going to lead to foul-hooked fish. So all I'm doing, just trying to get one fish at a time. I don't want a load of fish coming in down the edge. You won't be able to see that on the camera because I've had to set it up under the umbrella, but it's fairly quick when they get them. And I think I'm definitely getting a better stamp. So that's going to be a couple of pounds. This skinny fish. And I'm not going to feed anything again. Just going to little lump of this miracle paste on a 16's hook, but it's more like a 14's, these frenzy ones. I'm just going to plop it right down in the shelf. Not feed anything. If I don't get a bite and I need to refeed, that's fine. But I'm not just going to keep throwing bait and baiting trying to attract fish when they are everywhere anyway. You don't need to do much to draw the fish in, if that makes sense. A little bit of noise, a little bit of feed and they'll be there. I don't need to keep feeding and feeding. Oof, lost that. I made the paste fairly soft, but hard enough to not have to put into a pole cup. You know, I can just swing it round and it'll stay on. There's fish there, I'm getting indications straight away I don't need to feed. Especially with paste, every time I miss a bite it feeds that, you know, that bit of bait that's fell off the hook is feeding the preg. So you can see Jeff now is feeding his open water line, so the margin is obviously dying on him and he's thinking he needs to do something else. That was why I didn't want to come in so early. I'd give them a good hour down the edge to get settled. Oof, missed that. Right, so we're halfway through the match. Situation update. I could be in big trouble here. I may well have just got all my swim management completely wrong. I've just done a quick update with the guys I can see. So Jeff to my right claiming 60 to 70 pound. It doesn't feel like he's caught that much, but then again I'm not watching him all the time. Jason admitting to 56 pound. On my clicker I've got 43 and a few bits and pieces in the other net, so call it 45. Now you think, great, halfway through the match and we're on nearly 100, you know, we're on for £100, £50 halfway through, could be on for a ton. Early March, brilliant. But that's no good when everybody else is catching more. So, did fishing that long line for the first hour really cock up what I was trying to achieve? Was I trying to be too clever, maybe? I still stubbornly think hammering that margin line I will end up having a better end to the match. But should I have just got on it when everybody else was catching there, got those early mug fish, and then sort of started rotating a little bit more? I don't know yet. I'll give myself £1 for that. Could it be the other guys are overestimating the size of their fish? Could there be a bit of kidology? I don't know. Anyway, I did have a little run down the left a margin. Said to Jason, what are you fishing? Thinking he'd be fishing paste, because he's getting better stamp fish. He said, worm. So I've got my obligatory tub of worms out of the garden, so I give that a go over the ground. Betted a couple of fish on paste, better stamp. But what I've done now is I've opened up this short line, bottom of the near shelf. That far line at the bottom of the far shelf, or going up the far shelf, no good. It was just lots and lots of small fish. So this line here, I'm just feeding fishery 4 mils, and I've got a little tub of various hard pellets that in my bag that I use for hookers. So I'm just trying different colours, different sizes, trying to avoid them and getting those slightly better fish in the net. And it's slow, just odd fish. You've just seen me catch one, about £1 or so. Still trickling in some hard pellets down there. I don't know what to do long, because those fish were of no decent size, and it's way too snaggy to fish tight over. So I could be in big trouble here halfway through the match. Maybe I've got it all wrong. I'm not sure. I mean, if that's the case, I'm sort of £30 behind Jeff. That would take some catching up. And a good 10, 15 behind Jace. You know, I like fishing hard pellet for carp. It avoids those little tiny babies. I know the owner wants to get them out, but they're no good to me in a match. So, you know, they're a better stamp. So I think now it's a case of giving my head a wobble, not taking what they've said too literally, in case they're way out on their estimates, but I need to think about putting my foot down. You know, potentially £50 now at the halfway stage sounds great. Not if guys are catching 60, 70, £80 already. Alright, couple of hours to go. I've made my mind up. I'm going to stack it off long. I'm just going to concentrate on this half of the lake. The fish should start coming in. Anyway, Jeff slowed down since I asked him what he caught. Jason's still getting odd fish. I'm getting odd fish here. Let's try a bit of that pea paste again. And I'm having to put it in the pot now because it's a little bit over-wetted. I appreciate you can't see down the edge on that camera, and it's too much rain for me to set up my second camera. That's not waterproof. But I've got some little mobile footage that I can share when I caught one earlier on. So there's a few fish down there. I can see a couple of tails actually. The water seems to be going a bit clearer though, which is odd. There we go. That's a good start. I think this is the important thing, is you've got to rest these lines. It's not like in summer where you can just abuse them. I'll give myself £2 for that. So these fish don't weigh as much as they look. Try that again. A reasonable sized piece of paste. There's one or two fish down there. Just trickling in pellets now and then whilst I've been fishing that short line. Playing on my mind a bit whether I got that first hour completely wrong, but I've fished so many matches in the past where you start off really poor and everybody overtakes you and whatnot, and then your swim management kicks in and you sort of overtake them at the end, and that's what I'm hoping today. So that's £1 or so. Now if I can get one of them every chuck for an hour before we go into the last hour, I'd be in a good place, because them boys are not catching a fish every chuck. I just need to avoid those small fish, because I have gone up back on 4 dead reds. Still feeding just hard pellet there. Hard pellet down the edge. Rain is relentless, not stopping, as the forecast said. So we've got away with the wind, as I mentioned, but this is cold rain. very big, but if I catch them regularly, you don't mind. That's less than £1, so that can go on the other net. Right, we are now motoring a little bit across. I'd have to really go some to make headway against the other two chaps, I think, but as I hoped, yes, they're still getting odd fish, both fishing down the edge, but I'm getting a fish a chuck. And this new line across, they're not very big, £1, £1.50 a piece, but pretty much as soon as the bait gets to the deck, I get a bite. So we've still got an hour and 3/4 or so to go. And so if I can catch consistently on this quicker than this now, I should have had one by now. Sort of like fish a chuck for the next hour, 40 minutes. Could set me up nicely to hopefully plunder the edge. What I've got to hope for though across is that these fish don't get any smaller. I don't want them little ones coming in, so I can be, yeah, I mean that's pretty small. So I can be a little bit more aggressive with the bait. Yeah, that's one of them tiny ones. That's what we don't want. So I can put a bit more bait, and I'm still feeding that shorter line. Still feeding down the edge. But plenty of dead maggots now. Caps with crumb. And try, and if these little ones do come in, start being a nuisance, feed them off, or try and attract more bigger fish. So yeah, it's a ball lake fishing long like this, but you know, I've got a decent pole. That's what it's made for. If the fish are over there and they're quicker, so be it. Again, not massive. About £1. I thought that was a funny bite. It was like a lift bite. Smaller fish, but if you're getting them regular, they soon build up. And put him in the slightly bigger net. Here we go. Feels a bit bigger. Oh yeah, much bigger. That worm did the trick. Oh, he's coming in backwards, so be careful here. You foul what's in the tail? He is. He's foul what's in the tail. That's alright. Yeah, I need to really... What time is it now? Let's have a look. Just coming up to 1:30. An hour and a half left, really time to start getting motoring. This feels a much better fish. take my time with this one. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay. That's a bit of a bonus. Yeah, that's the biggest fish of the day. It's got to be a good £6, give myself £5 for that. Stay still. There we go. We need one of these every single chuck. That's smaller, but anything will do right now. There we go, this is a better one. This is what we need. We need this now to the end of the match. That's a good stamp. Yes, this is what we want. Feeding those hard pellets as well, make a bit of noise. There you go, this is better. That's a good stamp fish. They're what we want. We get motoring like this now to the end. We might catch the boys up, but I'd have to go some. Yes. Not even thinking down now. Just gonna... It's only a little one, but that's fine. Crikey, what a day. It's not stopped persisting it down all day, still at it now. I'm glad I wasn't sat on the end of the easterly. As we've sort of weighed in and come round, the weights have gone down and down, just proving that you don't want to be sat on one of those cold winds. I've had it off of my back, I was protected by the trees, and I did fall a little bit short today. I finished second with £80.11. Jeff, across from me to the right, has won the match with just over £84, so very, very close. I was way off with my clicking, but we all were, to be fair. Jason, who said he had £100, bless him, weighed in 63. So I caught the two up, but just that last hour when I wanted the margin to really kick in, it wasn't as productive as I thought. Jeff sneaked a couple of late fish as well where I haven't. He's just done me, basically. It was a good match, good tight match. I enjoyed it, despite the weather. So yeah, it's one of them learning points. Was my swim management as good as it could have been? Not so sure. I mean, you know, when I think of Jeff there, he's kicked off down the edge and I'm like, whoa, that's a bit too keen. You know, you want to build that area until the end of the match. Well, I've tried to do that and it's not really worked out. So, you know, Jeff's got it right and I've got it wrong. It is what it is. but it's one of those, you know, I've still framed. And the good thing is, the irony is, the guess the winning way. I was late, so Jeff picked my guess, which was £90, and I've won the money for that, 16 quid. Excellent. So yeah, good fun, good day. Jansen's always gives you bites this time of year, regardless of the weather. So I don't compare it to a lot of venues. Even so, got it wrong today. But hopefully you've enjoyed it. And as before, as with the last few matches that I've done, if you've not done so already, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And cheers for watching.